She walked into that wedding alone, and every single person in that room made sure she felt it. This is a story about what happens when one small act of kindness changes someone's entire life. And the man who did it didn't even think twice. Sarah had been dreading this wedding for weeks. Her cousin Emily was getting married, and the invitation had her name on it. Just her name. No one guessed, no +1, just Sarah. As if the universe wanted to remind her one more time that she was doing this life thing solo. She's a single mom, has been for 3 years, ever since her husband walked out the door with a suitcase and a bunch of excuses, left her with a 5-year-old daughter, a mortgage she could barely afford, and a silence in the house that felt like it had weight to it. But she showed up. She put on the blue dress. She did her hair. She smiled at people she hadn't seen in years. And when the reception started and everyone started finding their seats with their partners, their husbands, their wives, their dates, Sarah found her table. Table 9 in the back, near the kitchen door. She sat down, and she waited. And nobody came to sit with her. The other chairs at the table stayed empty for almost 20 minutes. People walked past. Some smiled awkwardly. Some didn't even look. One woman, a distant aunt, saw her sitting alone, made eye contact, and then turned around and went to squeeze into a different table that was already full. That moment right there. That silent rejection. That's the kind of thing that doesn't leave you. Sarah told herself she was fine. She checked her phone. She rearranged her napkin. She drank her water slowly just to have something to do with her hands. She was doing that thing that lonely people do in public, performing okayness. When someone pulled out the chair right next to her and sat down, she looked up expecting a stranger, or maybe a kid looking for somewhere to put their juice. Instead, she found herself looking at Daniel Mercer. The Daniel Mercer, CEO of one of the biggest logistics companies in the state, worth more money than Sarah had ever thought about in her entire life. He was Emily's husband's boss, which meant he had no reason, no obligation, and honestly no logical explanation for why he chose table 9 when he could have sat literally anywhere else. He put his jacket on the back of the chair, loosened his tie a little, looked at Sarah like she was the most normal person in the room and said, "Mind if I sit here? The other tables are a little much for me tonight." Sarah laughed. She didn't know why. Maybe because it was unexpected. Maybe because he said it so casually. Like he wasn't the most important person in the building. He didn't say it in a pitying way. He didn't look at her with that face. You know that face people give you when they feel sorry for you and want you to know it. He just sat down like two people. Sitting at a table together was the most ordinary thing in the world. And then they just talked. He asked her name. She told him. He asked what she did. She said she worked part-time at a dental office and was trying to finish an online business course on the side. He didn't nod politely and change the subject. He actually asked more. What kind of business? What's stopping you? What does your daughter think about it? She mentioned her daughter, almost by accident, the way single parents sometimes do. Like they're testing the water to see if someone's going to get weird about it. He didn't get weird about it. He asked her name. He said it sounded like a name for someone strong. Over the next 2 hours, they talked about everything. Business, parenting, fear. His dad had been a single parent too. Raised him and his sister after their mom got sick. He said the hardest part wasn't the money or the exhaustion. It was feeling invisible, walking into rooms and watching people look through you like you weren't there. Sarah felt something shift in her chest when he said that. At some point during dinner, the aunt who had avoided Sarah's table walked over. Different energy now, all smiles, and tried to join the conversation. Daniel was polite, but he turned back to Sarah and kept going like the interruption hadn't happened. It was the smallest thing. It meant everything. Near the end of the night, when the music started and couples moved to the dance floor, Sarah got quiet. Daniel noticed. He didn't pretend not to. He just said, "You know what's funny? Half those people out there look miserable. You looked more alive talking about your business idea than anyone else in this room tonight." She told him she didn't really think it would work. He asked her why. She listed her reasons. No time, no money, no connections, no confidence. He listened to all of it. Then he said, "None of those are permanent problems. Those are just today's problems." Before the night ended, he asked for her email. Not in a weird way. In a this is going somewhere real way. He said he ran a small mentorship thing informally. Not a big program, just people he believed in. And he wanted to send her something. 3 days later, she got an email. In it was a short note. A name of someone in her city who ran free small business workshops. A link to a grant specifically for single-parent entrepreneurs. And one line at the bottom that said, "You're not doing this alone unless you choose to be." Sarah printed that line out. Put it on her fridge. That was 2 years ago. Today, Sarah runs a small but growing virtual assistant business. She works from home. She picked her daughter up from school yesterday. She's not rich. She's not famous. But she's building something, and she doesn't sit alone at table 9 anymore. Here's the thing, this story shows us that we don't talk about enough. Loneliness is one of the most serious problems people face today. The U.S. Surgeon General came out and called it a loneliness epidemic. Research shows that feeling chronically lonely has the same effect on your body as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises your risk of depression, heart disease, and early death. And single parents, especially single moms, are among the most affected groups. Studies show that over 60% of single parents report feeling isolated on a regular basis. But isolation isn't always about having no one around. Sometimes you're in a room full of people and still completely alone. That's the specific kind of loneliness that's hardest to see and hardest to fix. And what Daniel did wasn't complicated. He didn't write a check. He didn't give a speech. He sat down. He asked questions. He listened. He followed up. That's it. There's a concept in psychology called witnessed significance, the idea that humans have a deep need to feel seen and acknowledged by others. When that doesn't happen, it slowly erodes your sense of self-worth. When it does happen, even once, from a stranger, it can completely rewire how you see yourself. Sarah said in an interview recently that before that night, she had started to believe that her situation was permanent. That single mom was just who she was now, not something she was going through, but something she had become. Daniel didn't change her circumstances that night. He changed what she thought was possible. One person. One decision to sit down at table 9. We pass people like Sarah every single day, at grocery stores, at bus stops, at family events where they're sitting alone near the kitchen door, rearranging their napkin, pretending to check their phone. And we have the same choice Daniel had. We can keep walking, or we can pull out the chair. The cost of sitting down is 0. The return on that investment? You just heard it. So the next time you're in a room and you see someone sitting alone, don't look away. Don't walk past. Don't decide it's not your problem. Sit down. Ask a question. Actually listen to the answer. You might just change someone's whole story. Watch the next video on screen. It's exactly what you need to see next.